The United States and Iran nuclear talks have been pushed for their third round of discussions, which will take place in Oman. Oman, which is mediating these nuclear negotiations, has said that the two sides were seeking an agreement that guarantees that Iran does not possess nuclear weapons. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that both nations have managed to reach a better understanding on a series of principles and goals. He also said that the third round of talks that will discuss technicalities will take place in Oman. In the next round of talks, there will be issues of the technical know-how that will be discussed, and these talks will happen on Wednesday.
Technical discussions at the expert level will begin in Oman on Wednesday of this week. The experts will have more time to go into the details to design a framework for an agreement, and then we will meet again in Oman next Saturday to review the results of the experts' work to see how close we are to reaching an agreement.
As the US-Iran nuclear talks take shape, the latest report suggests that Israel is still considering attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities in the coming months. The US President Donald Trump has reportedly advised Israel against staging any attacks. Recently, the US President announced Washington's efforts to carry on with the nuclear talks with Iran when Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu was present at the White House. The Israeli officials have vowed to prevent Tehran from acquiring a nuclear weapon, and Netanyahu has insisted that any negotiations with Iran must lead to the complete dismantling of its nuclear program. According to the Israeli sources, Reuters has said that Israel has proposed to the Trump administration a series of options to attack Iran's facilities, including some with late spring and summer timelines. The plans include a combination of airstrikes and commando operations that vary in the severity, and that could, of course, set back Tehran's ability to weaponize its nuclear program. Western countries have long accused Iran of seeking to acquire nuclear weapons, an allegation Tehran has consistently denied, insisting that its program is actually for peaceful civilian purposes. The US-Iran meeting comes a week after the two sides conducted what Iran called indirect talks in Muscat last Saturday. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that Tehran had observed a degree of seriousness from the United States during the first round, even as he questioned Washington's intentions. The Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has also stated his red lines to reach a nuclear deal, saying that dismantling uranium centrifuges is completely off limits. The IAEA chief, who recently visited Iran, has warned that Tehran is dangerously close to having a nuclear weapon. And according to the latest International Atomic Energy Agency's report, Iran has an estimated 274.8 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity, nearing the weapons-grade purity of 90% that is required. The American Secretary of State has said that Washington is waiting on the findings of IAEA's Tehran trip. Washington has spoken to its European counterparts to make a prompt decision on reimposing sanctions on Iran. All right, now to give us more perspective on this, we're joined by Mr. John Rosmondo, the president of Viking Research Associates, geostrategist and also an expert on national security. Mr. Rosmondo is in fact joining us live from Washington, D.C. Mr. Rosmondo, thank you very much indeed for taking time out and speaking to us here on WION. So the second round of negotiations have ended, and the Iranians have said that this too was a very constructive round, but the third round will focus on the technical issues of Iran's nuclear program. Is this going to be the big hurdle in the success of these talks?
Well, I think that, the Iranians will provide what they want the Americans to see. I think that, you look in the past, the Iranians have not always been very forthcoming about what they're actually doing. They will provide technical readouts and schematics to the American experts that put together the narrative of wanting cooperation. I think that if you looked at why President Trump pulled out of the nuclear agreement in 2018, it was due to the fact that the Mossad found that Iran was not keeping its end of the bargain.
Now, in 2018, it's interesting that you mentioned that Donald Trump, of course, unilaterally pulled out of the deal. He had, in fact, described the deal to be arguably the worst negotiated deal in American history. And it was not just what Mossad found, but in fact, Donald Trump had said that that deal was just not what the Americans should have negotiated with in the first place. So this time round, the question that I want to ask you is this. Do you think the United States will be okay with the Iranians having a civil nuclear program without increasing their enrichment to weapons-grade uranium? Or do you think the United States is looking for the complete dismantlement of the Iranian nuclear program?
Well, I think that ideally the U.S. should push forward for a complete dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program, because Iran has repeatedly shown it can't be trusted. The U.S. has been playing games with the Iranians over nuclear program for over 20 years. And each time Iran has proven that it can't be trusted.
Interesting. Now, there are reports that have come out where it appears that the Israeli side has been pushing for some kind of a military action on Iran, despite the fact that there are negotiations that are ongoing. Do you think the Israelis are treating these negotiations more as a sideshow, and that there'll be more Israeli pressure on the Americans to take some kind of a nuclear, some kind of a military option on Iran?
Well, I think that's obvious. I mean, I think at least in terms of President Trump, he's a negotiator. So he's going to hold out the threat of Israelis taking action against Iran to hopefully get the Iranians to make some concessions. But I'm not optimistic.
Right. Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Rosmondo, for joining us from Washington, D.C. and getting us all those insights there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.